Weidman? You want to talk main
No,
and then go backward?
no. That's a real chat, bro. There's a lot to digest. Let's talk Uriah Hall, Chris Weidman. I tweeted out Saturday night when they showed the replay of that leg break. I screamed. Rebecca screamed. The dogs were going crazy like there was some kind of intruder at the house. I mean, oh my God, where do you start? I mean, that was how ironic, how silly, what a twist of fate. I mean, if you saw that in a movie, Chris Weidman breaks someone's leg and then later in his career he suffers the same leg break, you would say, no, that's too far-fetched. It's crazy. But life's a weird thing. I mean, can you believe? I mean, what were the odds of that happening?
I mean, hundreds of thousands of leg kicks thrown in the UFC since its inception, probably. We're talking about, in his career, how many leg kicks just in training and sparring and fights? How many leg kicks has Chris Weidman thrown in his life? It's just the perfect storm. That bone hits that bone in that one angle, that one position. 1,000 times they can throw that kick and it's not going to happen. And then boom, snaps. It is one of the most horrific looking injuries I've ever seen. Your boy, Dr. What's his name?
Mora. Dr. Mora.
Yeah, I think that's who. No, it was another MMA doctor maybe. But he posted a thing about the injury. It might have been Dr. Mora. Actually, I think it was. But yeah, I mean, it really, dude, it looks so brutally painful. And if you watch him back to back, the Anderson Silva one and the Chris Weidman break, I mean, it's the exact same, like the way the leg whips around. It is just absolutely horrific. And my son was watching that. He's 8, and now he is traumatized. He's absolutely traumatized.
It's gruesome. That's like, the thing, because it just reminds everybody watching that this is a difficult sport and it's different from all the rest of the sports. And I'll even say it's different from boxing. You know what I mean? Boxing is, of course, a dangerous sport and people get very, very serious injuries. And a lot of sports are contact and they get injuries. In the NFL, you see a lot of people with, very, very nasty concussions. And I think some even people have passed away, whatever. But this MMA is such a cruel bitch. You know what I mean? And now with the sport being bigger than ever. I mean, it was bad enough when it happened with Anderson Silva, but now it's on ESPN. It's getting bigger and bigger and more acceptance worldwide. There's going to be some people out there saying, this is too violent, get rid of it. But man, it's the beauty of the sport, but it's also, what is the opposite? It's the thrill and agony of the sport of mixed martial arts. It really is. And people out there were kind of assuming that maybe he had some micro breaks or fractures and things like that in his leg. I don't think that's the case. I mean, Chris Weidman threw that kick with some real force, And in fact, it's funny you mentioned Dr. Moore because I was going to get him on and talk, but obviously he's a surgeon. He's got better things to do to jump on a podcast. I'm like, do you want to come on tomorrow? He said, I have somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 patients and multiple surgeries to do. So he's a little bit busy, but we'll get him on some other time. But how weird. 3 leg breaks like that in the UFC. And Chris Weidman has been a part of 2 of them. Yeah,
Corey Anderson was the first one.
Corey Anderson.
Yeah, that was brutal. Super skinny guy. It always ends up being sort of like Anderson, very, very lanky. Corey Anderson, very lanky. Weidman's like a thicker dude. I don't know why in my head, like they have because they have thinner legs, it's easier to happen.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know why.
If you take a stick, we've all done it as kids. You get a stick and you try and snap it. It's a little skinny stick. In fact, I'll go even further. If it's a twig, you'll snap it. It's a big fuck off piece of wood. You got no chance. I think that's the example you're looking for, Lewis.
Yeah, but I mean, look, Weidman isn't really a little skinny twig of a guy, right? You said it on the last show. He's a big 185 pounder. So it was just very surprising. He was the only strike thrown in the fight. They were sort of standing there for a moment, kind of like feeling each other out for a second, and then he threw that kick. And it's kind of funny. I don't know if he was going for a calf kick or he was going for the knee, but everyone talks about there's being no defense for a calf kick. And then fucking look, throw that calf kick, some nasty shit could happen. I'm gonna tell you right now, it made me question ever wanting to do anything with my legs again, much less kicking another man in the leg.
Yeah, well, he was definitely going for a calf kick, I would assume. I mean, only Chris Weidman can answer that. But here, let's take a look. Is this a video? Oh man, hold on. Throws a little cheeky jab, standing southpaw, by the way. No, yes. Do it again.
Fuck.
Play it again, Sam. Play it again, Sam. Because I want to see it again. Hold on. Wait for it.
Oh, and the sound it made, too. It was crazy.
Yeah. No,
the problem is like just the snap itself. And then the problem is you see his face. You got to watch it in slow motion because when I watch it in slow motion, he doesn't even feel the leg snap. You see, he's still got like a very like I'm fighting face on. And granted, it's a fraction of a second, right? But when he falls down on it, his facial expression changes. It's just absolutely crazy. But it's kind of bizarre to watch. Like adrenaline kicks in, it snaps, it whips around.
I mean, I was there for the Anderson Silva one, and I remember, and I've said this before, but I remember when he got stretchered out of the arena, he was howling in agony, and it was such a haunting sound, honestly. And I remember looking at him as he went past on the stretcher, thinking, I'm going to fucking beat you one day. No, that's not what I was thinking. I was thinking, wow, this poor guy that I'm going to
like, now I want to fight him.
Like, definitely when you come back, I'm attacking that leg. No, so obviously I was at home for Saturday nights, but fuck me, man. Yeah, and I feel so sorry for Chris Weidman. He's a good guy. He's a good bloke. And you know, he was talking about becoming champion again last week, and I don't know why. Maybe it's the romantic in me, but I kind of believed it. He said, listen, I'm going to beat Uriah Hall. I'm going to have one more fight, and then I'm going to fight Anderson Silva. Israel Adesanya, pardon me. And with my style, I'm going to replicate what Jan Blachowicz did. I'm going to beat him, and I'm going to win one more fight, defend the belt, and then I'm going to retire. And I found myself like buying into it, thinking, this could actually happen. You know, the man's been a champion before, let's remember. But of course, you know, that's all out the window now. But the funny thing is, it's amazing medical science. They're so clever and they're so good. He's walking already today. Not very well, and he's in a lot of pain. And I was hoping to get Dr. Mora on because of this, because on Chris's Instagram or his wife's Instagram, yeah, you see him, they get him out and he talks about it and he takes a few steps with crutches and stuff already. But it happened on Saturday and he's already taking the first steps. And I was like, it's kind of interesting. Why do they do that? You would think they would want to let it set and heal as much as possible. But then I guess they want to get them walking and using as soon as possible. But listen, it's a shame. But Dr. Moore said 9 to 12 months, he'll be fully recovered. And if he wants to come back, he'll come back. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think he'll come back or do you think he might retire?
I think he'll probably come back. You know, I think we watched Anderson recover 13 months, came back, fought again, which was surprising. You see a compound fracture like that and you think it's going to be like years and years and years, but apparently it's a fairly common thing, especially in football. I had a buddy of mine's little brother in like the 8th or 9th grade had that happen to his leg in a football game, in like fucking middle school or high school football. Yeah, and I mean
that sucks. UFC, big time, big deal, being watched all over the world. You're a badass. You're in the octagon. You're getting tons of support. I guarantee his Instagram supporters have gone through the roof, his follows and stuff like that. He's making headlines all over the place. Sympathy, flowers, you know what I mean? Dedications, podcasts discussing him. That little kid, you know, he went through just as much, but nobody gave a fuck.
His team lost the game. Nobody cared.
They blamed him. He was the star player. So you can't even fucking not snap your leg, you useless bastard.
Shout out James Hickey.
Shout out James Hickey, you fucking one-legged useless bastard. We got kicked out of the league because of that. We were heading for promotion.
Well, what's funny is he did recover. I think he took a year off, and this kid was fucking huge. Like, he wasn't even that big. He probably used steroids, to be honest.
He skipped fucking leg day, though, I'll tell you that.
He was massive. But it was yeah, dude, that's a really fucking brutal injury, and it was really hard to watch. What about this? There was some people saying that Weidman, when it happened with Anderson Silva, Weidman's initial reaction, and he like threw his hands up in the air and he celebrated. But and Uriah Hall on on the opposite of that, Uriah Hall immediately looked very concerned, was like, oh shit, obviously did not want to win that way, took no joy. I want to get your opinion on that. I will say, though, if you actually watch the full tape of Chris Weidman, after he does a victory lap, he realizes what happens, and he immediately goes and gets on the ground and gives his condolences or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, listen, fair play to Uriah Hall. I know I have a little bit of fun at his expense, but he handled that perfectly. He was all class, and he said the right thing. Had a great PR agent. I'm joking. No, he said the right thing, and he acted the right way.
He was born in Jamaica, man.
Right about no. No, but he looked genuinely concerned. And to be honest, after a training camp, you don't want to win a fight like that. You don't. Yeah, okay, but you won. So there's that. You get your win bonus. There's another thing. But as a fighter, you
didn't throw a punch.
You want to earn it. You want to fucking earn it. You do all that training. I'm sure Uriah was confident of winning. You want to put all the practice, all the training into practice. You don't want to win like that. You don't. So well done to Uriah Hall. And then on the flip side with Chris Weidman, you're right. He did celebrate, but it's kind of different, right? That was Anderson Silva, the GOAT. Nobody could beat him.
Oh,
the UFC middleweight.
Right?
The title was on the line. You know what I mean? The stakes were much higher for Chris Weidman there. So, of course, he celebrated initially. He defeated the GOAT. He became champion of the world. He made history, and he just snapped Anderson's leg. And listen, call it what you will, but that's a solid technique. You know what I mean? The old, I'm going to stand there and do nothing, and you're going to snap your leg on my leg technique. Tell you, highly revered, not shown very often. It's one of those secretive techniques that they like to keep in ninja camp. Okay.
Yeah. Like Bruce Lee says, be like water. This like be like tree. Stand down.
See, he kicked the fucking knee. The toughest part. If you kick anywhere, you don't want to kick the knee. It was just badly placed. It was unfortunate, but we wish you all the best, Chris Weidman. We do have a speedy recovery, and hopefully we get to see you back in the octagon, my friend.